For the second week in a row, we have a rather straightforward connection between our Parsha and our Haftorah. The Haftorah is taken from the second chapter of Melachim Aleph, which details the last few moments of David's life, in which he makes his arrangements and empowers his son Shlomo to pick up from where he left off. Of course, Parshat Vayechi matches the same sort of narrative as Yaakov gathers all of his children around his deathbed, makes arrangements for him to be buried back in Eretz Yisrael with his parents and grandparents, and also charges his children through brachot to fulfill their potential and their destiny. I want to try to hone in a bit on the specific charge that David gives his son Shlomo. He says to him, let me scroll up here for a moment. He says to him, starting in Pasuk Aleph, just to see the frame, Vayikruvu Yemei David Lamut, the days of his death approached, Vayitzav et Shlomo beno lemor, and he commanded his son as follows. The word Vayitzav resonates because it hyperlinks back to the Parsha, Parshat Vayechi, where Yaakov does the same thing. Vayitzav otam, he commands his sons in the following way to fulfill his final wishes. The word Vayitzav, of course, gives birth to the word Sava, an ethical will. The expressed interest of David and of Yaakov is not just on the logistics of their burial and their funeral, but on an ethical component, the morals, values, and principles that they want their children to carry on. And that is the practice among some to write an ethical will to their children, accompanying their estate and asset division. Back to our text here in Melachim Aleph, Perek Bet. David is on his deathbed as well, and not with all of his sons, but just with one of his sons by his side. And he says in Pasuk Bet, Anochi holech baderech kol haaretz. I am going the way of all of the world. I am human, and all humans are mortal. They meet their end as they transition from their bodily existence to their eternal stay back with God in their soul existence. And that time is approaching for me, says David. And here are the key words that I want us to focus on for a minute. V'chazakta v'hayita la'ish. That you should be strong, like we're going to say at the end of our Parsha, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek, as we round out Sefer Bereshit. And v'hayita la'ish, that you should be a man. What does it mean that you should be a man? The Radak offers a fascinating and insightful perspective here, where he says, V'hayita la'ish, zariz umoshel benafshecha, v'kovesh et yitzrecha, that you should be scrupulous to try and self-regulate, to rule over your urges, your desires, your inclinations, and to conquer your evil inclination. Why is this the charge that David gives his son Shlomo? Perhaps it's because David himself feels a bit unsettled in how he succumbed to his desire for Bathsheba, which ultimately gave birth, literally, not in that exact moment, but later on, to the existence of Shlomo, as Bathsheba and David conceived him later on. And David is saying that, yes, I made a mistake, but try to learn from my mistakes and be a better man than I was. Being in a place of royalty, sitting on a throne with all of the world's pleasures available at your fingertips, you will be tempted with all sorts of pleasures. But try and be zariz, be a man about it. Don't give in to the worst part of yourself, but play up the best part of yourself. And in that way, you will outperform your old man and be a better man than I was. That's perhaps the hidden sort of subliminal message that David is giving his son Shlomo as he charges him with being a man. Sadly, we know that Shlomo succumbed to some of these more base desires and fell to a similar sort of trap that his father did, and perhaps even worse so. But nevertheless, Shlomo, at least for the beginning of his reign, the beginning of his tenure, did succeed in living an upstanding and moral life. And with that, he was able to build the Beit HaMikdash, to literally complete the task that his father wanted so desperately to do. And he was able to pick up where his father left off. With that appreciation to the way that Yaakov charges his sons with continuing his legacy in Parshat Vayechi, I hope you appreciate the link between our Parsha and our Haftorah this week.